Welcome to Cinema's Underbelly, the channel where we dive into the deepest, darkest trenches of the underground to analyze and review the most obscure, obscene, and controversial films that cinema has to offer. I'm your host, Jonathan Doe, and today we'll be reviewing the cult classic Zombi franchise. The Zombi franchise begins with George Romero's 1978 Dawn of the Dead. Outside of the United States, Dawn of the Dead was marketed and sold as Zombi, with the film consisting of an entirely different edit of the film, done by Italian filmmaker Dario Argento. Argento controlled the Euro cut of the film for non-English speaking countries, and this cut of the film included the removal of expository scenes, a faster cutting pace, extra lines of dialogue, the addition of gore shots that were not included in any of Romero's edits, and more music being added from the band Goblin. The film's international success led to the quick development of an unofficial Italian sequel, and on August 25, 1979, Lucio Fulci's Zombi 2 was released. Now more commonly known as simply Zombi, the film centers on a Caribbean island cursed by voodoo, whose dead rise as zombies to attack the living. The film includes a now infamous scene wherein which a zombie engages in an underground battle with a shark, as well as a graphic eye-gouging scene that has become a cult favorite amongst gorehounds and the horror underground. Fulci was already actively working on the feature before Italian distributors decided to falsely brand the film as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, a decision that was made against both Romero and Fulci's wishes. Upon its release in the United Kingdom on January 2, 1980, the British Board of Film Classification required a total of 1 minute and 46 seconds of material to be cut from the film in order to obtain an X rating. However, that same year, the film was considered to be a breach of the Obscene Publications Act within Britain, and was added to the Video Nasties list, leading the film to be banned outright within the UK. Zombi 2 grossed higher in the domestic Italian box office than its predecessor, leading Fulci to begin production on a sequel to the film, with Zombi 3. But circumstances arose during the film's production, which resulted in Fulci removing himself from being involved in the picture, leading Bruno Matti to take over as the role of director, with rumors that the directorial change was the result of Fulci falling ill, though these claims would later be challenged by Fulci, who stated that the real reason he left was due to disputes between him and the producers, proclaiming that the script was dreadful and that the producers were unwilling to change it. Released in 1988, the film itself focuses on a group of scientists who are working on a biological weapon called Death 1, which mutates and kills the living and reanimates the dead. The weapon is leaked out of the scientists' research facility, which causes a widespread infection in the local community. And though Zombi 3's reception performed considerably worse than Fulci's previous zombie endeavor, it is still one of my favorite films to come out of the zombie genre. It is chaotic, absurd, gory in all the right places, and just overall a wild ride. The following year, in April of 1989, Claudio Fragasso, the writer of Zombi 3, would release After Death, a film centered on a boat of explorers who find themselves trapped on a remote island with a zombie voodoo curse. The film was later retitled Zombi 4 by its Japanese video distributors, and the film is now best known as being the unofficial fourth entry within the Zombi franchise. Zombi 4 is a noticeable shift within the Zombi series, with a drop in actor performances and a plot that is nonsensical and incoherent at times, though the film does hold somewhat of a cult following, as it hits harder on the voodoo aspects of its plot than Fulci's previous Zombi 2, resulting in some pretty cheesy and fun scenes of black magic. In July of 1988, Claudio Lattanzi and Joe D'Amato would release Killing Birds. Despite the film being released a year before Zombi 4, Killing Birds would later be distributed in several countries on home video as Zombi 5. Set in Louisiana, the film focuses on a group of college students who are doing research on a nearly extinct woodpecker species. They seek the help of a Dr. Fred Brown, a Vietnam War vet who murdered his family after coming home to see his wife with another lover. His family's remains were never found, but the students stumble across the house where the massacre occurred and are welcomed by a group of vengeful zombies. And though the film's plot is unique from that of the previous zombie entries, its execution of that plot causes the film to fall flat on its face. Killing birds is notoriously boring and a burden to get through, and if it wasn't associated with this series, I have doubts it would have ever stayed in my collection. It is important to recognize that though what I present to you here has come to be probably the most accepted list of titles making up the zombie franchise, the series does in fact vary differently depending on country and time of distribution. For example, in the United Kingdom, the series is known as Zombie Flesh Eaters, with Zombie Flesh Eaters being the alternative title for Zombie 2, Flesh Eaters 2 being the alternative title for Zombie 3, and Flesh Eaters 3 being the alternative title for After Death. And while the UK series follows the Italian entries in proper order, it ignores Romero's Dawn of the Dead as the first entry, as well as Killing Birds as being the last. In Thailand, a similar formula is followed, also adopting the Zombie Flesh Eater name, except Latanzi's Killing Birds is added, brandishing the title as Zombie Flesh Eaters 4. In Italy, the zombie franchise begins with Romero's Dawn of the Dead, and then follows with Fulci's Zombie 2, and its official sequel Zombie 3, but it dismisses the last two entries of After Death and Killing Birds. In Germany, the franchise begins with Dawn of the Dead, but then replaces Fulci's Zombie 2 with Romero's Day of the Dead, and then ends with Fulci and Mattie's Zombie 3. With the various producers worldwide trying to capitalize on the zombie name, several other films have also been branded as being a part of the series. This includes Joe D'Amato's 1981 Absurd being promoted as Zombie 6, his 1980 Anthropophagus being promoted as Zombie 7, the 1980 Zombie Holocaust being sold as Zombie 3, the 1981 Burial Ground also being marketed as Zombie 3, and about a dozen other titles marketed as having association with the zombie name. Going back to the series of titles that seem to be most widely accepted today, the zombie franchise is an interesting hodgepodge of loosely connected cash grabs. And despite this, the series managed to produce some features that would grow into cult classic status and become essential viewing for those interested in the horror underground. And though there may arguably be one or two duds within the lot, I see this set of films as being a mandatory part of any horror hound's education who are exploring this kind of cinema. As always, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Till next time, this is Cinema's Underbelly.